are lots of options for Nigerians to choose from in the 2023 presidential elections. 18 candidates in all, each promising to be a viable alternative with plans for you and I as Nigerians. So we'll speak with one of them tonight on the program. Our second guest is Mr. Adewole, who is a presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, and founder of Captain TV. He joins us live from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, just maybe a detour. The APC just unveiled its manifesto, Renewed Hope 2023, and it sounds really like a play on the Hope 1993 slogan of the late MKO Abiola, who was a candidate of the SDP at that time. And I wonder for you, do you think maybe this is taking the wind out of your sail?
No, this is them plagiarizing and borrowing slogans they don't understand. You know, you could see that they were running on something differently, and then we were running on Hope Again 2023, and then they just thought that maybe ours is fancier, and you could see how bipolar they sound when they talk about their program.
Right. So essentially, I don't know if you'll be using Hope because it looks like it's been taken already. Let's talk about your party now and your candidacy. I know that over time, or recent times, we've seen various polls which have come out ranking the top 3 candidates, and your party has not been in the top 3. I wonder first how you're handling that. Where would you place yourself in this race, perhaps to begin with?
Okay, we will continue to do Hope Again 2023. That's our slogan, and our hope is based on farewell to poverty and insecurity. And if you see the copycats, you see how they're struggling in front of you, denying even that today is Friday, and denying reality. So it's like they are aliens. Maybe aliens produce concussion. That's what they brought out. So that will not distract us. We will face our own. And as per the rating, we looked at various polls and rating. We haven't seen the background figures. We see that our membership is increasing. We see that people are listening to us. We were at the Adewole House, and we made a very good case, and we saw that people are responding. And even before then, we've been in various places. So we're not perturbed. The campaign had just started, and they will start to unravel as they unravel before you this evening. And you also notice that I'm speaking for myself. I'm being held responsible. Many of them are in hiding. Some have run abroad. They are in Paris and other cities and sending spokesperson to come on air and start giving you reported speech and supposition. But we are here to answer the question by ourselves. So we believe that Nigerians will listen to the person who's actually going to be sworn in to discharge his obligation, rather than a hired hand who's actually repeating something they don't understand.
Well, this will particularly be about your plans, your party's plan, your candidacy's plan for Nigerians. You've called it Hope Again 2023. I hope people won't get confused. Renewed Hope, Hope Again. There's hope, clearly. What does this entail, this Hope Again manifesto, this plan, this policy that you're presenting to Nigeria? What does it entail? Okay,
when we do our plan, and we have a manifesto night for the Social Democratic Party, people will see clearly that the parody that they are seeing now on the other side is far flung from what we have. But basically, what we're saying is exactly what we said 30 years ago, that you need to eradicate poverty. People are struggling with the idea of poverty alleviation, amelioration. We say we need to get rid of poverty. And how do you do that? We need to follow Chapter 2 of our Constitution, which obligates us to, 1, make sure that people have food. And you will see that without food, everyone is poor. So we need to deal with food, and our plan has how to deal with food supply and make food and nutritional poverty to go away. We need to deal with housing. We need to build 1 million houses in every state every year throughout the life of the administration. Jakande did it in Lagos, Shagari and Wahab Dosumu tried to do it at the federal level, so it can be done. That's easy to do, and people, when they have good housing and good nutrition, they won't be poor again. We need to deal with primary health care. We need to invest money in primary health care to see that people don't have simple communicable diseases, they don't have childhood diseases, maternal mortality goes down, and people have access to intervention at the community level. Once you do that, poverty will go away. Once you have to deal with the issue of giving people employment, you do employment through agriculture, you do employment through infrastructure, you do employment through social services, you do employment through education. And education itself will also bring additional skills. These are things we can do. These are low-hanging fruits that we can easily pluck. We don't need to go outside looking for anything. Our government will not do esoteric projects. We will not do highfalutin projects. We will deal with it. And how do we finance that? We finance that by blocking the corruption and the theft. Remember that we, Social Democratic Party, when we launched our campaign, we were the one who drew attention to the fact that 80% of our crude is being stolen. Until then, the government was blaming COVID, they were blaming international community, they were blaming global market, recession. We said, no, the oil is being stolen. That is why you're not getting the money. And when we raised that point for 5 months, then the government started to acknowledge it. Now they're magically discovering things which market women, housewives, everybody knows that these pipelines are there. And this pipeline, they say it took them 9 years, 7 years to discover. Everybody in the creek, farmers, everybody knows that these pipelines are there. I myself have discovered that pipeline long ago. I've discussed that with the PDP government when they were in government. I've discussed it with this government when they are there. So they are just discovering something suddenly. That's not correct. And what they claim to be discovering now is not even where most of the theft is taking place. A lot of the theft is taking place in the ultra-deep platforms where ordinary people can't go there. You have miles and miles of nautical navigation to do, and they are stealing the crude. And the same people who are selling the official crude are also the ones selling this, and they are selling to the same customer by and large, so in the same market. So they cannot say they're just discovering that. So in our government, that will not happen. And I tell you, in addition, I'm doing another study now. I found out that in Nasarawa, in Benue, in Kogi, in Zamfara, in Osun, in a few places, solid minerals worth trillions of naira are also being stolen. And with government officials escorting foreigners with police and all of that and giving them security. So this grand theft, federal, that they are doing is the reason why we can't have a good budget. That's why they have 50% hole in the budget that they have now, and we will not have it. The same reason is the reason why many people are getting waivers. Do you know that the size of our deficit this year is less than the size of the tax waivers that the government has given? So all of these things are the reasons why we cannot make investment in critical sectors of the economy. That's why poverty sticks around, and that's why we're going to kick poverty out.
I'm just curious.
Well laid out, unlike the other plans you have seen, which are just bland statements. Our plan will come with figures or the source of fund. You will see when we bring our plan out.
So I'm really curious. You said you actually discovered the parts where the oil theft was going on. Am I right? How did you discover them?
Just by, if you want to be commander-in-chief, you need to start to find out what's going on in the country. I started asking people, even people in the Senate, Senate Committee on Finance, people on the NNPC board, different people asking them questions. Why are you not remitting money? What is happening? What happens? Everybody says, we don't know. So until we started talking about it, you can go back and check the tapes, you can go on YouTube. I started mentioning it. Well, the first broadcast I made was to say, don't let anybody lie to you. Anyone who tells you there's no money in government is your enemy. There's money in government.
Oh, no, I thought you meant that you personally discovered these locations. That's what I thought you meant, that you personally discovered the locations and the sites.
What I'm telling you is that these sites are not a discovery. I'm not Mongo Park. Anybody in Niger Delta goes around, sees them. People see them. Just like those who are stealing crude to make diesel by the side, those who are stealing crude to take them overseas to sell, people know. The government keeps discovering things that people already know. People know that the government people are doing it, so they cannot say that they have suddenly discovered it. I knew it. Many people know it. If you go to the Niger Delta and go to the communities where the pipelines are located, these pipelines are old. We know where they are. We know the trunk line. We know where they're located. They're not new. Let me tell you something. When President Shagari was Minister of Finance under Gawan, he went to these same pipelines and discovered that the flow stations did not have meters. and he made an order that they must put meters on them and to have them metered. That was Shagari in the 1960s.
Okay,
so
let's wind down on this.
Mid-1970s. So nobody can say that they just discovered it. I knew, but I raised the alarm because they were stealing a minority and reporting majority. But suddenly when I discovered that they were stealing majority and reporting minority, I discovered that it was time to shout.
We need to wind down in about just less than 1 minute. Perhaps you'll also be willing to give some information to help the government. If you say that, I mean, there are other areas that have not been found. Perhaps you'll also be willing to facilitate in ensuring that we nip this on the bud. But on a final note, I want to take you up on and I know you've not released your manifesto, but let's help Nigerians get a sense of your plans. And this is on education, which is really vital, seeing what has happened with the public universities over the past 8 months. And there's been that controversy: subsidize public education, especially public universities, or not. Allow them charge, appropriate rates in court. What is your stance on this? We have just about less than a minute to wind down, but I'd like to know, what is your stance on funding of public universities in Nigeria?
Two parts. I have information for the government right now. That's the first part of your question, to volunteer to them. And the information is this: your people in government are stealing Nigerian oil. Stop it. That's the information I can give to the government. Now, regarding education, education is a right in this country. And anyone who is talking about whether we should subsidize or whatever, education is not petrol. Education is a right we have to give to every citizen, and we have money for it. Ask anyone who is in government today, how much did they pay when they were going to school? How much did President Buhari pay to the military school, or when he was going to the military? Did he pay any amount? How much did he pay secondary school or primary school? We have the money. We need to spend the money where it needs to be spent. If the amount of money being stolen through crude oil, through solid minerals, through taxation, through waiver, through excessive procurement and inflation of contracts, if 10% of that is given to education, we will have the best education in this country. It will be available to every child. This is deliberate. This money is not scarce. What is scarce is compassion. And we have to bring a government of accountability and compassion. There's no need to beat about the bush.
Well, Barrister, what is also scarce for us is time on the show tonight. And perhaps we'll do this in the future when you eventually release a document that we can hold on to and analyze. But in the meantime, we'd like to thank you so much for your time on the program. We're speaking with Mr. Adewole, who is a presidential candidate of SDP and also the founder of Captain TV. Amen to that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Well, that's been the program for tonight, everyone. We'll continue this. It's an ongoing conversation. The political season is ripe. So stay with Channels Television for the best analysis and the very latest. I'm Kayode Okikelu. Good night.